In the first Cylon War, humanity fought machines. In the second, they fought something far more advanced. Because the Cylons didn't just build ships, they redesigned what a warship could be. Base stars weren't commanded from a single bridge. Raiders weren't piloted by soldiers. And death wasn't permanent. Their fleet wasn't just mechanical, it was alive. Engineered metal fused with living components. Networked minds instead of computer chips. Resurrection instead of fear. The Cylon Navy didn't operate like a military, it functioned like a system. And in many ways it was more unified, more adaptive, and more dangerous than the humans it hunted. Today we're breaking down every major Cylon warship in Battlestar Galactica and what they reveal about how the Cylons understood war and themselves. Battlestar is the backbone of Cylon military power. But unlike a colonial Battlestar, it is not built around a bridge, a captain, or even a central command hierarchy. It is not a flagship in the human sense, it is a node. One of the most radical differences between a base star and a colonial vessel is the absence of a traditional command center. There is no CIC equivalent directing the battle, no single officer issuing orders across decks. Instead, control is networked. Multiple humanoid Cylons coordinate decisions collectively. Data flows between them and the ship's systems seamlessly. Tactical responses emerge from consensus and computation rather than command and obedience. This design reflects the Cylon worldview that hierarchy is inefficient. A single point of failure is weakness and authority should be distributed. At the core of each base star is the hybrid. The hybrid is not a captain. It is not even fully an individual. Suspended in a fluid-filled tank, the hybrid functions as a biological interface between Cylon consciousness and machine systems. It does not command the ship in the human sense, it merges with it. The hybrid's constant stream of fragmented speech suggests that the line between operator and vessel has dissolved. The ship is no longer a tool. It is an extension of a living system. But this integration creates risk, because the base star is a fusion of advanced machinery and organic components, which makes it susceptible to computer and biological viruses. Tactically, the base star does not fight like a battlestar. Colonial ships are armored brawlers. They are built to absorb punishment and return fire at close range. Base stars, by contrast, favor overwhelming missile salvos and coordinated long-range strikes. They deploy swarms of raiders rather than relying on point defense duels. They are fragile in direct engagements. When forced into close combat, the Cylon vessel's lighter structure becomes a liability. The base star represents the Cylon belief that evolution means removing inefficiency, including hierarchy, individuality, perhaps even including fear. And yet, that same integration makes it fragile, because when everything is connected, everything can fall together. The Cylon Raider is not simply a fighter craft. It is not piloted in the human sense. It does not carry a soldier into battle. It is the soldier. Raiders are biomechanical organisms engineered for space combat. Their hulls incorporate organic tissue. Their internal systems resemble biological structures more than circuitry. When a raider attacks or retreats, it is not executing orders the way a drone would. It doesn't really think. It acts on instincts. This distinction matters. A remotely controlled drone can be jammed. A programmed machine can be predicted. But a living intelligence adapts. Like the base stars they launch from, raiders are networked. They share targeting data. They coordinate attack patterns. Swarm tactics emerge, not from shouted commands, but from instantaneous communication. Individually, a raider is dangerous. Collectively, they are overwhelming. This is where the Cylon philosophy becomes clear again. The raider is not a lone ace. It is part of a system. But this connectivity carries risk. When infected with a computer virus, raiders become paralyzed, their networked intelligence turning against them. Perhaps the most unsettling revelation in the series is that raiders are not purely mechanical assets. They are self-aware to a degree. They can hesitate. They can experience something resembling fear. In later seasons, damaged raiders show signs of individuality. Some even display loyalty to specific humanoid Cylons. This suggests that beneath the engineered combat design lies something closer to an enslaved life form. If raiders are alive, then their use in war becomes ethically problematic. The Cylons, who claim moral evolution over humanity, have created beings whose sole purpose is combat. The machine species that sought freedom from human oppression may have replicated the same hierarchy within itself. They are tools that blur the line between organism and weapon, conscious enough to act independently, yet denied the autonomy granted to the humanoid models. If raiders are predators, heavy raiders are transports of conquest. Heavy raiders are assault craft. They deploy centurions, breach holes, and hay-insert forces directly into enemy ships and planetary surfaces. Where raiders fight in space, heavy raiders bring the war inside. They are used during boarding actions against Galactica, during ground operations on Caprica, and in strategic insertions across the series. Their role is transportation. They are the bridge between orbital dominance and physical control. Unlike Battlestars or raiders, heavy raiders lack the eerie elegance of Cylon design. They are bulky, practical, and purpose-driven. They reflect a simple truth that the Cylons are not really interested in destroying humanity. They intend to replace it. Occupation requires infrastructure. It requires boots on the ground, and heavy raiders are the logistical backbone of that effort. Heavy raiders can operate in atmosphere as well as vacuum. This dual capability makes them uniquely versatile. They are not bound to fleet engagements. They can descend onto cities, settlements, resistance hideouts. They extend the reach of the Battlestar from orbit to street level. The heavy raider may not be the most advanced Cylon vessel, but it is the one that makes conquest a real thing. The Resurrection ship is not simply a support vessel. It is the foundation of Cylon civilization. While Battlestars project power and raiders enforce it, the Resurrection ship guarantees something far more important: immortality. Which means that as long as Resurrection exists, the Cylons cannot truly lose. The humanoid Cylons are biological bodies embedded with technological consciousness. When one dies within range of a Resurrection ship, its memories and identity download into a new body aboard the vessel. Death becomes just an interruption. Experience is preserved. Trauma is archived. Tactical lessons are retained, and individuality persists across destruction. This fundamentally alters the nature of war. For humans, death is permanent. Every pilot lost is irreplaceable. Every commander killed is gone forever. Strategy is constrained by fear and consequence. For the Cylons, at least early in the series, death is just a data transfer. Resurrection is not just a technological advantage, it is psychological dominance. A soldier who does not fear death fights differently. Risk becomes tolerable, sacrifice loses meaning, and tactical gambles become logical. The Cylons can probe defenses, fail, learn, and then return. This asymmetry is one reason the Cylon attack on the 12 colonies is so devastating. The Cylons are not merely superior in coordination, they are liberated from existential risk. As long as the Resurrection ship survives, the Cylon fleet fights with infinite retries. Cylon immortality is not abstract or divine, it is infrastructural. Resurrection requires range. It requires proximity to a Resurrection ship. It requires a physical system vulnerable to attack. This is the flaw. The Cylons have externalized their immortality. It is not inherent. It is stored. And anything stored can be destroyed. When the Colonials target and destroy the Resurrection ship, the impact is immediate and profound. Suddenly death is permanent. Every Cylon body lost is a true loss. Every risk must be reconsidered. Every mission carries consequence. Resurrection also shaped Cylon identity itself. Shared memory across deaths reinforced unity. Experience circulated among models. Individual instances contributed to collective understanding. Once resurrection ends, individuality deepens. Difference solidifies. The 8 who dies is gone. The 6 who falls does not return to consensus. The species begins to fragment. As long as resurrection existed, the war between humans and Cylons could continue indefinitely. Losses were asymmetric. The Cylons could afford eternity. Destroying the resurrection ship forces finality into the conflict. It makes victory possible. Not because the Cylons become weak, they still remain technologically formidable, but because they become vulnerable in the same fundamental way humans always were. They can now truly die. And once death is real, choices matter. The resurrection ship represents the Cylon belief that evolution meant overcoming humanity's greatest limitation. But by centralizing immortality in a single structure, they also made it fragile. When it falls, so does the illusion of invincibility. The Cylons are forced to confront something they once dismissed as primitive: the weight of a single life. The Cylon colony is not merely a station, it is a monument. Not to power, but to decay. By the time we encounter it in the final season, the Cylons are fractured. Resurrection is gone. Civil war has reshaped their society. What remains is this massive, grotesque structure orbiting a black hole, a place where technology, biology, and desperation have fused into something almost unrecognizable. Visually, the colony is disturbing, is asymmetrical, scarred, organic in ways that feel unhealthy rather than elegant. Its surfaces appear grown and corroded at the same time. It looks less engineered and more infected. This is not the clean, networked confidence of early Cylon design. It is survival architecture. Orbiting a black hole, the colony feels isolated from the rest of the universe, hidden, unstable, and slowly deteriorating. The setting itself is symbolic. The Cylons, who once believed themselves superior and destined, now cling to existence at the edge of annihilation. At the heart of the colony is an advanced hybrid, far more integrated and powerful than those aboard base stars. Here the fusion between machine and organism is complete. The hybrid does not merely interface with the structure, it is inseparable from it. The colony feels less like a base of operations, and more like a body governed by a central nervous system. But that nervous system is unstable. The hybrid's fractured speech and obsessive calculations suggest strain. This is not serene integration. It is something closer to madness, a consciousness stretched across failing infrastructure. The Cylons sought unity through total integration. In the colony, that integration has become suffocation. With the original resurrection ships destroyed, the colony represents an attempt to rebuild immortality, but in a more centralized, desperate form. It is larger, more complex, more vulnerable. Instead of distributed resurrection capability across fleets, the Cylons have concentrated it in one massive installation. Earlier Cylon design avoided single points of failure. The colony exists because the Cylons are afraid. Without resurrection, mortality reshaped their psychology. They can die permanently, they can disappear, identity can end. The colony is a reaction to that fear, an attempt to restore control over death. But in doing so, the Cylons reveal something deeply human, which is the refusal to accept limits. The structure's grotesque appearance mirrors this desperation. It does not look like progress. It looks like obsession. When Galactica makes its final jump to attack the colony, the confrontation feels different from earlier battles. This is no longer a clash between two confident powers. It is an assault on the last refuge of a wounded civilization. The colony's destruction is not just a tactical victory. It is the end of the Cylon pursuit of technological immortality. With it dies the infrastructure that once allowed them to transcend consequence. What remains are individuals, not an eternal system. Throughout Battlestar Galactica, the Cylons pursue evolution. They seek to move beyond humanity's flaws, like fear, mortality, and division. But the colony reveals the paradox of that pursuit. In trying to overcome death, they centralized it. In trying to unify consciousness, they created fragility. In trying to surpass humanity, they mirrored its deepest anxieties. The Cylon colony is not terrifying because it is powerful. It is terrifying because it is tragic. It stands as proof that the attempt to escape mortality through machinery leads not to transcendence but to distortion. In the end, the Cylons do not defeat death. They are forced to live with it. So that's it. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.